That is Colby Altman. Dennis, as you know, being interviewed thousands of times, you're allowed to answer however you like.
That's right. That's right.
But do not try and dictate the questions that are asked by the media when you call a press conference. If you want a private one-on-one session, do it with your own team of own employees. Ask those questions that you have mapped out and post it on your website. The second part of this is the Cavs come off sounding defensive and like they're trying to prove that they won the deal and trying to win the press conference.
Yeah, and that's the problem I have too, Jared. And Kobe, I give you a pass on this because it's your first time going through something major, the first time being the GM seat. But let's face it, you're supposed to have a better plan for this press conference. You knew the number one question was going to be about the hip. The trade's already going through. There's no more talk about the trade. It's talk about now what you have with your assets and which of the assets are ready to play. Well, Isaiah Thomas was a major piece of this trade, so you knew the number one question was going to be about the hip. So in my opinion, Kobe and his crew should have come out and said, guys, here's the situation with the hip. Here's how he's working out. Here's how he's doing with the trainers. We don't know when he's going to come back. Next question. Now you've answered all the major questions. Now if another question comes back, now you know that media person's digging a little bit deeper, but you have to address that right away to move on to the bigger questions. When he's healthy, when he's on the floor, is he working on his jump shot? LeBron James is the point guard. You're no longer the point guard. It's like Kyrie had to learn when Kyrie was there. Those are the real questions for me, and let's turn the page. When he's healthy, he's going to be healthy. But when he's healthy, is that lefty ready to catch his shoot?
Well, listen, Kobe Altman wanted us to focus on Isaiah Thomas's resume, focus on him being an all-star and the impact he can have on a team that has, again, championship aspirations. But we can't focus on any of that unless we know if he's going to be available at some point, any point, to play on the team. He can't have an impact in a suit.
No, you cannot. And I think that's why you have to have a better plan in this press conference, Isaiah, to speak up and say, hey, the reason I didn't have surgery because the doctors I spoke to at the time said, if I heal up slowly and I do the right treatment, I can get back to top form. That's what you need to tell the press, then they'll leave you alone. But when you don't tell anybody nothing, they keep asking the questions that drive you crazy. And then to your point, once you address that, you say, you know what, maybe it's December, maybe it's January. Or you say, I don't know. When I'm healthy, I'll let you know. I can buy that.
Now, Ty Lue, the head coach of the team, did make it pretty clear that they don't anticipate Isaiah Thomas being ready for opening night against the Celtics on TNT. But as you heard throughout the press conference, Isaiah Thomas, as he continues to be optimistic and excited for what could be whenever that time is.
It was
the day after the trade, you, Mike Fratello, and me on the air, and we posed the question then, not knowing even how serious at that point Isaiah Thomas's injury truly could be. If Derrick Rose is your starting point guard opening night and eventually starts more games than Isaiah Thomas, how does this trade look? And how does it make you feel about Cleveland's chance against Golden State to get out of the East and face the Warriors again, potentially?
Well, once again, with Derrick Rose, if you're still a Derrick Rose fan, you're trying to say to yourself, is this the year where finally stays healthy all year long and gets that step we once fell in love with before? But I still go back to the reality. Derrick Rose, have you called me yet to get in Shooter's Paradise and catch and shoot? Because LeBron James is the point guard. You are no longer the point guard. You're on the point guard position on the slate, as we say, 2 guards, 2 forwards in the center. But when the game starts, LeBron James initiates the offense, 89% of the time? And on the other time, he's down on the floor. Then you could be the point guard. So unless both guys, when healthy, are in the gym, working on their jump shots, catching and shoot, shot clock going down, LeBron James drawing a kick and ready to shoot, then I don't see the situation being as sweet as we think.
Yeah, Derrick Rose, not a guy that shoots a lot of threes among players who played at least 2,000 minutes last year, second fewest among guards. So that leads you to believe that there's got to be something else out there. Is Kevin Love the answer? Or, as we've talked about the past two, now this 2018 first-round pick they own from the Nets, is that going to be tempting for Kobe Altman to turn it into potentially another weapon for LeBron?
No question about it. With all the rumors, LeBron's definitely leaving, maybe leaving and going to New York, LA. We don't know till the beginning of the season. But we do know that if you bring assets around LeBron James and he feels comfortable enough, maybe he stays. But I like the first part of your question. Maybe now you go back to Kevin Love. And that's what I forget, Minnesota, he was a 2010 guy because he touched the ball more. LeBron James, we say he's one of the best leaders in our game. Let's go back to Kevin Love and let him touch some more, take some pressure off you. Now he gets to the free throw line more, and now he's happier.
Well, one of the potential solutions that has certainly been talked about could be Dwayne Wade, but he still is a member of the Chicago Bulls. A couple weeks ago, Nick Friedel of ESPN Chicago reported that he anticipated a buyout at some point in the next few months between Wade and the Bulls. But then Alex Kennedy of Hoop Type comes out with a report that Dwayne Wade has had no communication with Bulls management the last couple of months. That is no longer a report. He confirmed that to our David Aldridge, up getting set for Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremonies this weekend. And DA caught up with Wade, who talked about his future being very much up in the air.
Who's going to be playing for in November?
Well, he said November. Well, all I know is training camp is coming up, and I'm preparing for training camp. I'm under contract with the Bulls right now, and that's what I'm preparing for. The future, don't worry about it too much. You got people to do that. You got people to talk about it. For me, my job is to prepare for, being the best Dwayne Wade at the age of 35 that I can be, and everything else will take care of itself.
What's your preference? I stumped you.
Yeah, you got me on that. I'm gonna go back with first of all, man, obviously everyone wants to compete.
Yes.
It's no secret. We will all love to compete for a championship. At the end of my career, that is one thing that I would love to do. I'm not in a position right now to do that, so I can't talk about what that preference is. But obviously, hopefully, one day, before I get done playing this game, I can be back in a position where I get to compete for a championship.
There's been a lot of talk about buyouts and things like that. Is that something that is going on that you want to go on right now, or are you just?
What's funny is I haven't said anything. It's been a lot of things have been said.
Exactly.
I haven't said anything. And it's a reason for that. I'm not about the going back and forth, and a lot of people make it that way, but I'm not about the going back and forth. When the time is right for me and the Chicago Bulls organization to sit down and talk about the future, we would do that. The time hasn't been right, obviously, to this point, but I'll be in Chicago soon enough. And hopefully we get an opportunity to sit down and just talk about the future and the direction, and go from there. I'm 35 years old. I'm a grown man. I can definitely sit across the room from you and listen to your truth, and hopefully hear mine, and we go from there.
Wade putting a smile on his face, but clearly there's some disconnect between him and Bulls management. Heard similar type of conversations before and after Jimmy Butler was dealt. This is interesting. Ultimately, we wonder if he's going to wind up on the Cavs, but first, what's going to happen with him in Chicago, a team that's clearly rebuilding?
Yeah, that's a head scratcher, because you would think of a guy like D. Wade, future Hall of Famer, you sign with the franchise, you think you have open conversation. Is Jimmy going to stay? Rondo has the kind of playoff 2 games he has before he breaks the thumb. You keep those 3 guys around. The young guys are getting better. So if you're a Bulls fan, you're like, well, wait a minute. I'm starting to believe in what you sold us last year, and it did pretty good. And D. Wade kind of bought in, and yes, they had some bumps in the road throughout the season with Rondo and stuff like that, but it seemed like when the playoffs got here, they worked it out a little bit to make it seem like it could work. And then trade and not resign and release, and now a future Hall of Fame, you're going to treat him this way and not have open dialogue?
Well, Cavs fans probably like seeing this, thinking that they're a little closer to landing him if indeed D. Wade becomes a free agent and opts to go to Cleveland on a minimum deal. Some think maybe Miami's still out there.
If he clears waivers, there's no brainer. He's going to the
right.
Cavs.
Well, maybe that
Come on,
helps out.
Hey, LeBron, let's do this again, LeBron. Let's do this again.
Well, we follow in this story. Unbelievable happenings there. Great job by David Aldridge. We'll have more on Hall of Fame coverage as DA is up in Springfield. Coming up next here on Game Time, we'll also chat with Tracy McGrady as he gets set for the sport's ultimate individual honor.
Timeout. You know where the ball's going.
Yeah.
And you're telling that guy, hey, do not let him get to his sweet spot. Tracy McGrady got to his sweet spot whenever he wanted to.
You saw that confidence from McGrady well before he was ever in the NBA, though.
Yeah, he used to show up to our Orlando Magic practice and say, wow, this young kid, he said, I'll be there soon. Come on, young fella.
By the way, young kid, didn't you just have a birthday the other day?
49 years old, man.
Happy belated to you.
Thank
Hall
you.
of Fame enshrinement ceremonies begin at 6:30 Eastern Friday night on NBA TV.